I have never had the opportunity to interview myself. This is probably the closest that I will get. Every time Aiemann Zahabi fights, I get flooded with tweets. Good luck, good luck, good luck. You're about to fight. You're looking good. You're looking good. It's just like a flood of tweets. And so he won on Saturday. Capital W, we beat Ricky Tercios. We did our thing. And I was like, all right, I've had Faraz on. I've had the whole TriStar crew on. I've never had Aiemann on, so I want to have him on. Here he is, the pride of Montreal, Quebec, Canada, my doppelganger, my spirit, my fighting spirit, if you will. The great Aiemann Zahabi, who's coming off a fascinating, tremendous. What is going on here? You're supposed to try to look like me, although you have the shirt. You've got the plaid shirt, Aiemann. How are you, my friend?
It's Ariel.
Yeah, I love that.
Hawani boxing in the house.
Let's go.
Hawani boxing, baby.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
I really appreciate the fact that you're so good. You can tweet in between rounds.
How about that? Although I got the round wrong, which showed just how locked in I was.
You're in the zone. You don't got time for fans when you're in there. Listen, you don't got time for Ricky's jumping and screaming either. You did a great job. Your defense, masterful in there.
I thought so too. Thank you. I appreciate that. Very kind. By the way, I don't have cool glasses like that. I can never pull off glasses, but the shirt is fantastic.
Listen, I don't wear prescription. These are, you know what I mean? I got to look fly for the ladies. You know, Hawani boxing represent.
Let's go.
I'm the prime time Deion Sanders, Hawani boxing. You know what I mean?
I love it. By the way, Aiemann or Aiemann?
Either one is good. I prefer Aiemann.
Yeah, okay. Because, you know, I'm Lebanese too. You know this, right?
Yeah. I know. Yeah, for sure, man.
It's really weird. I sent a...
You're Lebanese from Montreal.
It's freaking
we're the same guy.
I know. It's crazy.
You were the same.
I sent a picture of you to my mom, who watches everything. I was like, this guy is Lebanese, Montreal guy. I mean, I'll never be as tough or as fit as you, but I feel like something like, do we know each other? Are we like related? Is there some sort of like once removed? Like I feel like
gotta be some kind of cross between our families at some point.
Something, man. There's something. And now you did the shorter hair. Before you had a bit longer hair, shorter hair with the beard. It's uncanny.
I realized how well the look was working for you.
Thank you.
So now I'm all in.
Do you get a lot of people stopping you on the streets of Montreal? I feel like you can't go outside.
Yeah, they ask me, they're like, hey, aren't you supposed to be taller? I'm like, no. Aren't you like 6 foot? Like, no, not really.
I get a lot of, are you Aiemann Zahabi on the streets of New York? That's how big of a deal you are right now here.
Well, I mean, with how good you box. Like, I saw that video of you
What'd you think?
The thing with Nate Diaz. You look fantastic. Crisp.
You think so? Because some people were taking shots. Listen, I didn't want to hurt his hands. I've got a deadly right.
Yeah. Listen, you're a gentleman.
Thank you.
You're a gentleman. Listen, if that was a fight, that guy'd be running, man.
I agree. People don't realize I've been doing some stuff, but I'm not one, people go to the gym one time, they post everything on Instagram. I'm not that type. I'm doing things in the lab quietly by myself. I'm a humble guy. You understand? Humble Montrealer, Lebanese. That's the way we roll. That's
what I mean. After, we have a julep, we have a good time. That's how we do it.
You go to julep too?
Yeah, of course, right next to the gym.
Yes, there it is. Please tell me you don't have the spaghetti and meat sauce like George.
No, listen, I tried it one time. He came in the locker room. He's like, hey, man, you want to have the best spaghetti in Montreal? I'm like, yeah. He's like, okay, come with me. We go to the julep. Listen, it's not bad.
No.
Is it the best spaghetti in Montreal? No, but it's not that bad. It's just weird to get spaghetti at a drive-thru. You know what I mean?
It's not, you get the hot dog, you get the grilled cheese, you get the drink, of course.
You get the burgers, you get the chicken wings,
right. I have never seen someone, like George has said it, I've never been there, and I go every time we're in Montreal. I grew up going there. I've never seen someone order the spaghetti and meatballs.
Yeah, me neither. Only George, I know. But it's on the menu. It's there.
What a legend. By the way, that was a great clip. He comes up to you, and if I'm being honest, he was there in the locker room, and I felt it was a little rude by the UFC. Like they were kind of eavesdropping on your conversation there. Like it felt like you guys were trying to have a moment. He was trying to impart some wisdom, and they just let it run and run and run. Were you getting a bit annoyed? Because I was getting annoyed on your behalf.
I wasn't annoyed because I know, like, to them, George is the biggest, like one of the biggest stars ever. He's like the king of an era, So I'm sure they try to get as much footage of him as possible. And I just found it funny that he was just there to say hello, because obviously I asked him to corner me.
Oh.
Because he was supposed to be in town that weekend, and he was going to try to do it because my fight was supposed to be at 5:30 p.m. Vegas time. But then cancellations happened and they rearranged the card and ended up fighting at 6:30. His thing started at 6:30. He had some charity event with Chuck Norris. So it was still cool of him to show up, but then they brought out like the media, they filmed us and things like that. Hey, it is what it is. He still imparted some nice wisdom. I loved what he told me.
What did he say?
It was right on the money. He told me, he's like, listen, he's like, all you have to do is be yourself. Don't try to be more than you are. You're more than good enough.
Huh.
You know, he's like, you can beat all these guys if you're you. But if you fight less than yourself or you try to be more than you are, it's not going to work. Be Aiemann Zahabi, be authentic. And that's, you know, he's not, you can't be more true than that. You know, that's why he's the best.
I heard you say something to him like, I just have to be me. I just have to be, you kept repeating something to
Yeah.
that effect. Do you find that earlier in your career, maybe your first couple UFC fights, that you weren't being yourself?
Well, you know, like being Frost's brother and coming from TriStar and all that, there's all these expectations for me to win by like a backflip spin hook kick or something crazy. You know, so I'm always trying to do more than I could do. Like I want to finish the fight. Like I have to prove to everybody. Like the best example was the Ramos fight. Like I feel like, okay, round one, I really tried forcing the wrestling and the grappling. It didn't work out great. So then I took away the wrestling and grappling in round two, and I really picked up apart with like my jab and my uppercut. And in round three, I was like, he couldn't hurt me the first 2 rounds. I'm going to go and I'm just going to kill him. And I threw caution to the wind, and I overdid it, you know, and then it cost me. And then I fought Vince Morales, and then I did the opposite. I was a shell of myself, and I lost the decision, which is very hard because I thought I won the fight too. I thought I did enough. And then Draco, I was the first time I tuned into who I am, and I'm just going to do what I do. Boom, I knocked him out. And then with Ricky, I just tried to do the same thing, but Ricky kind of didn't give me the old Ricky. He didn't come in with the barrage and the barn burner fight and the 1-1-2s and the stepping in and the takedowns and the nonstop. I was ready to counter him up because, you know, the more you throw, the more you're open. But he really held back, I found. I feel like he didn't really open up.
Frustrating fight for you?
No, great fight for me. I mean, I feel like I looked like I outclassed him. Like defensively, like I shut him out. I think he only landed like 10% of his strikes. I had him between a rock and a hard place. Like if he stepped in too much, I was going to crack him with an overhand. And every time he stepped out, I low kicked him. So he found himself in this like in-between range where he's like shadow boxing almost himself. Like he's throwing punches and kicks, but not that he could really reach me, but he was trying to look busy and I couldn't really reach him. And like he put us in this weird distance, you know. But anytime he stepped in, I tried to double jab him, jab hook, or like really cut him off. Because he was so long. He has a short torso and long arms and long legs. So I basically go at the same time as him. It was going to be hard for me to catch him first.
I mean, the lack of activity showed that he was almost like perplexed by what you were doing out there. And I'm happy you got the nod. Obviously, the last fight prior to this one was an incredible finish. And then we don't hear from you for like 16 months. Now, I saw an article that E. Spencer Kite, fellow Canadian, did a great job for UFC.com where he profiled you leading up to this fight. And in the article, he says multiple times that he tried to get out of you why you disappeared for 60 months and you wouldn't do it. Even though you guys have a relationship, you wouldn't do it. You said you would save it for after the fight. So it's after the fight. Where the hell were you? What happened?
Yeah, so, oh man, like a million things. Like it was crazy because, you know, Sean Shelby gave me the new contract because the guy missed weight and he gave me like a pay grade, an increase in pay. And so I was really happy. I wanted to fight again so I could make more money, right? But then when I got back in Montreal, the COVID restrictions were so extreme. We couldn't get together and train. And plus, like, we were having issues with, I don't know if you heard Faraz's podcast. We're having issues with someone else in the building. They kept calling the police on us anytime we wanted to go into the gym and train. Even though technically we were in the gray area of whether or not we're allowed to be in the gym because of like the square footage we had and stuff at TriStar. So they kept calling the police and the police kept coming, show up and try to shut us down. So it was like very hard to get a training camp going. And then finally, when they reduced the restrictions, I ended up getting a couple of injuries. And finally, I had a third injury that was actually really big, and it took me like 6 months to recover from.
Whoa.
So I'm just happy that I still got to be in the UFC, and I got over my stuff, all that bullshit that happened. And now I'm finally back in the UFC, and I got to show that, you know, time doesn't really affect me. I feel like I'm a lifer. I've been in the gym since I was a kid. And I don't feel like there's a real thing about ring rust. I'm just happy to be there. Honestly, when I get in the octagon, I'm just happy to be able to perform. It's like my canvas. I finally get to paint, you know?
That injury that sidelined you for 6 months, what was that?
Yeah, not telling you.
Wow.
Not telling anybody.
Why are you so secretive?
My opponents get nothing. Opponents get nothing. I take from them everything.
I feel that. You don't want anyone to like target it or anything like that, right?
Yeah, and also I don't want excuses, man. I'm not an excuse-making machine. It is what it is. Like, honestly, it was the proudest moment of my career beating Draco, not because like of the knockout, but because I overcame 2 losses. You know, like I was considered a front runner for the longest time. You know, I was Frost's brother. I never lost an amateur. I didn't lose in pro until I got into the UFC. So a lot of people expected a lot. And then when I lost, I feel like everyone threw me under the bus. And like, I listen to these picks sometimes, especially like when I was fighting Draco, you know, some of these media guys, like, you know, when it comes to striking, just like it does in wrestling and jiu-jitsu, it's not only about like how to throw a punch, but can the guy control the distance? Can the guy control the pace? Can the guy control the direction of the striking? There's so many layers to striking. That's why it's so hard to become elite, right? And I felt like I had the edge in the intangibles and what's invisible in striking compared to Draco. And I knew that I would catch him over time because he was so aggressive. And I'm a counter fighter. I knew he would step into something eventually. You know, I just had to find out how fast he was. Once I got the timing, you know, I split the combo. I tried to do it to Ricky, but Ricky was really smart. Like if you hear his corner, they were telling him to duck and cover. Oh, the haymaker's coming now. No. Like he was really avoiding getting hit with anything too big. And I feel like that kind of like ended up, you know, the fight had less action than I expected out of Ricky. But I understood why, because he didn't want to get hit with the power, I don't think.
By the way, after those 2 losses, were you, I mean, confidence-wise, were you struggling? Were you
confidence? Yeah, was brutal, man.
Yeah.
It's very hard, like, you know, because even for me, like, when I was undefeated for so long, like 10 years, and getting knocked out was hard, man. Getting knocked out was really hard. And even worse was losing a decision I thought I won because I took my foot off the gas, you know, in round 3 against Vince Morales. And I had enough in the tank, but the PTSD of getting knocked out against Ramos in round 3 came to me in the Morales fight. I was like, fuck, you know, I was like, forget it. Like, don't get knocked out in round 3. Make sure you don't get knocked out in round 3. And I kind of eased off and I regretted it, man. I'll never do that again. You know what I mean? I'll never do that again. And it was hard to come back, but I read a really good book called The Tools. And one of the tools they give you is they tell you this mantra. It's, I love the pain will set me free. I love the pain will set me free. And then I switched it to, I love the fear will set me free. Because you know what? In the end, the most nerve-wracking time is from weigh-in, after you complete weigh-in, to fight night, to getting in there. That is the hardest thing you can imagine. Like every doubt goes in your mind, all these different scenarios of what can happen. And there's so many ways to win in MMA. It's incredible. Like you can lose with a spinning elbow, you can lose with a flying knee, arm bar. You go to take a guy down, your foot gets stuck in the cage, you rip your toe. Who knows? You don't know.
Right. What is it like having someone like it's one thing to have your dad in your corner, you have your brother in your corner, and not just your brother, one of the greatest coaches in the history of the sport. Do you find that he's tougher on you? Do you find that he's like, how would you describe the relationship that you have?
It's a great relationship. It's obviously a unique one in a way because like he's also kind of like my father. Because like, you know, don't forget, like when my brother Frost was 7, he asked for a younger brother. He told my father, he's like, give me a younger brother. He's like, my brothers treat me bad. Give me a younger brother. I want to show them what it means to be an older brother. So my dad told him, listen, I'm done having kids. If I give you a younger brother, you're raising him. You know, my dad's working. He was a taxi driver, my dad. He came here with nothing. You know, he came here with $10 in his pocket. You know,
From
so
Lebanon?
He was working 2-3 nights from Lebanon. Yeah, he came in 72 or 73. Right? So he was working like crazy. So for us said, yes, at 70, he was like, well, if you give me a brother, I'm going to raise him. So ever since then, we've had like this father-son dynamic too. He always took care of me. And so we have like a very unique relationship. You know, I love him to death. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, sometimes it's hard. You know? It's funny, like I don't bring it up to him, but sometimes I find like when I'm sparring, he like picks at me a lot. Like if I get hit with one right hand, it's like, oh my God, how did you get hit with that right hand? You know, but like I didn't get hit with that many, just one. But it was, you know, it's the end of the world.
Right.
So like, but it's all jokes. Like I know it's because he doesn't want me getting knocked out ever again. You know, and honestly, for him, like my favorite performance was the Draco one. And I think for him was this one against Ricky, because we came in with a game plan, and I had to change it in the fight. And we figured out the low kick, and like the kicking him in the leg was not coming, like wasn't part of the game plan at all. And then we found it. I found it in there, and I used it to expose him.
So you have a situation where you're growing up, and you're among legends, right? In my opinion, the greatest of all time. George, like when TriStar was on fire a few years ago. And the pandemic obviously slowed things down and it made it very hard on you guys. How would you describe TriStar now? Like, are you guys able to do your thing? Are there any issues? And
oh man, it was tough. The pandemic was really tough for TriStar. It was literally hell. Like the cops were coming all the time. Like people, you know what's so funny is that even one guy who was training with us, his roommate was calling the police that we wanted to train, that we were training because he was scared that the guy was going to bring him back COVID. It was like, oh man. And, you know, obviously our European fighters couldn't come, our American fighters couldn't come. And, you know, not all the fighters were getting vaxxed. So it was very hard to get into Canada. So we're in a rebuilding process. But like our main guys are back, and we're growing back to normal. And I think some of the American guys are going to come back. Like Kevin Lee texted my brother about my fight and stuff. So hopefully Nasrat, Arnold Allen's coming back. We have Mandel Nalo, who's doing phenomenal.
Yeah.
We have Olivier Aubin-Mercier, who's doing great at PFL. We have a lot of up and coming guys like Alex Morgan. He's coming up. We got so many different guys winning fights. They're doing good. We're coming back.
Those glory days with GSP, you were around for all of them, right? Like you would go with them, you would travel.
Yeah, I remember when it was Christmas time, and GSP and David Loiseau were both on the same card, and it was only people sparring during the holidays was me, Faraz, David, and George.
Damn, how old were you?
Spar these guys, help them get ready for their fights. Sorry,
how old were you at that point?
I was 18 at the time. I've been making the UFC walk since I was 23. I think I was cornering Miguel Torres. I cornered Rory against Tyron Woodley. I cornered Mark Bocek. I cornered so many elite guys in the UFC. So that's what people tell me. Aren't you worried about how long it takes for you to get back in? Like, I want to fight 3 times a year, but unfortunately, sometimes things are out of my head, like injuries. Like I can't do much about the injuries. But this year, I told myself at least one more time. So I'm hoping in October or November I'm in there, because I'm taking my wife and kids to Greece for a vacation.
Oh, nice.
Next week we're leaving, so I'm really happy. I told my wife after my loss to Ricardo Ramos, that I had just gotten married before, we're not going in on a vacation until I get into a hot streak. So here we are, 5 years later, I'm 2 in a row. Yeah. She earned it, man. My wife earned the vacation. Let me tell you something. She gave me twin daughters. I told her 1 pregnancy done. Boom, she hooked it up. So I'm taking her to Greece, man. We're celebrating.
I love it. You deserve it. And I mean, look, you have the name, you have the background, everything. It would be nice, man. I don't know about you. You probably feel the same way. We need to get the UFC back to Montreal. We need to get you know what I mean? It feels weird that you guys
love it.
You guys can't even go to Toronto. What is going on here? You guys deserve this.
Let me tell you something, man. Listen, the UFC is doing great with Canada right now. We got Jourdain fighting next week. I think he's going to do fantastic. I just won my fight. I think Tanner Boza, I don't know if he has a fight book, but we got a lot of guys that we could put on a good card in Canada for sure.
Michael Malott.
Only thing holding back. Sorry?
Michael Malott in Ontario.
Yeah, exactly.
The guy who trains with Alpha Male. Yeah, he looked great.
Yeah, all these guys are looking good. And I feel like the only thing holding them back now is got to be the COVID restrictions.
Yeah,
because I think in Canada, everyone has to be vaccinated.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% correct still.
Yeah.
But I think that's the main issue. And I don't know if all of UFC staff is vaccinated. Like, I'm not going to ask, even me, like I hate that I was coerced into it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like the fact that we had to eventually just take it, whatever. We'll see what happens now.
We don't need to get into all of that. We don't want everyone getting mad at us.
Listen, I'm fed up of the whole thing.
I know. No one wants to talk about it.
I love Canada, though. Listen, Canada's my country. Quebec's my hometown. What can I tell you? Montreal, baby. For life.
So, Perfect World, you return in October. Anyone that is on the radar? We thinking about it?
I'm going to do my homework during vacation.
Okay.
Like, honestly, I was so focused on Ricky, and I really wanted to get 2 in a row in the UFC. I hadn't done it before. And I'm just happy now that I got that done, and I'm going to do my homework while I'm there. I'm going to have a lot of downtime, and I'll come back with a few names to give for us, and then we'll reach out to Sean Shelby and see if something can work for October or November. That'd be perfect.
Man, it's amazing. It's really amazing because I feel like a lot of people put a lot of pressure on you when you came in because of the last name, and then they, as you said, tried to write you off. Now to see you on a roll here and doing so well, and you're no longer Faraz's younger brother anymore. I feel like that was how we referred to you for so long. Now you're freaking killing it out there. And I think the move...
I'm Ariel Hawani, baby!
Well, yeah, I mean, the move to shave the head, phenomenal. Grow out the beard, phenomenal. I don't know who advised you to do this. It wasn't me, but well done.
Take it as a compliment, man. I'm learning from the best.
I appreciate it. Now, does it bother you when you fight that everyone's congratulating me? Do you feel like this is taking away some of your shine?
It's funny, man. I love it, man. Listen, we're both from the same place. You know what I mean? We both grew up, with the same stuff. And I'm just happy to be sharing the light. It's funny. Actually, I just heard Andrew Schultz say, like, to you earlier that, you grow up with some guys and then you tell them they're going to do good and whatever. And I remember, like, I met you when I was young. I remember actually one time we bumped into a hotel. I thought I was going to my room and Louis wouldn't open the door for me, but I was knocking on your door. Do you remember that in Vegas?
No.
I was on the wrong floor.
Really?
And I'm knocking on your door. You had the exact same room number as us, but one floor lower.
Wow.
And you sounded exactly like Louis. I'm knocking on the door. I'm like, Louis, let me in. You're like, this is not Louis, it's Ariel Hawani. I'm like, Louis, get out of here, man. Stop playing with me. Just open the door. I went to go do what you asked me to do. And he wouldn't open that. You finally opened the door. I was like, oh, man, you are Ariel Hawani.
I don't remember this. This is a GSP fight?
That?
No.
No, it was a Miguel Torres fight. I think he was fighting Demetrius Johnson.
Man.
I was cornering him against Demetrius Johnson.
Have you talked to him recently?
A long time ago. To Miguel.
Like, where is Miguel? What happened to him?
He's got his gym now. He's doing his own thing.
He's all right?
Teaching and everything. He's doing good. He's doing good. I don't see him that often. I would love it if he called more, man. I would love to see him more. He's great.
And you also dedicated your win to late great
Master Peter.
Master Peter, legend. I was so sad to hear of his passing. He was always a staple. Did you work with him closely at the gym?
Always, man. Always, always. And I'm happy that I won with low kicks because I think he would have been proud of that. He always tells me, chop the leg, chop the leg. He was an incredible person. What's beautiful about him is he would intimidate grown men. But when it came to children, when they came in the gym, he'd get on his hands and knees and be soft and sweet and teach them Muay Thai. He was an incredible human being. So I just want to honor him, thank him for everything he's done for the team and my family.
Much respect, my friend. Long overdue to have you on here. We are pulling for you. It was very nice. By the way, the guy that you beat, Ricky Tercios, looks like one of the guys on the team here. So we were all joking that it was like me versus him. Yes, he looks exactly like him from a few years ago. So it was just a crazy, crazy thing. And you were the underdog too. You were the underdog, which I thought was crazy. Maybe because of the time off. I don't know. He won tough.
I love that I was underdog, and then by the third round I was minus 400.
Yeah, of course, because of the way things were going.
That was incredible.
Congrats on the win. Enjoy Greece.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming on, and we'll do it again soon. And keep up the look, my friend. Short hair, beard.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
It'll take you far places, let me tell you.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Aiemann. Talk to you soon. Salam alaikum to Aiemann Zahabi joining us from Montreal, who looks exactly like me.